Welcome to episode 14 of Bonding and Beer. My name is Rolando Nunez. I am your host, and today's topic, resin cements. Let's go! So, what has Rolando been up to? Well, I traveled to Cartagena, Colombia. Bisco was hosting their Latin American symposium, and I was able to share with our Latin American distributors. It was a lot of fun. And from there, I flew to Monterrey, Mexico, where I was invited to lecture in front of 1,000 people. It was extremely impressive. 1,000 people. One thing is to say it, another thing is to see it. And I had a lot of fun. The event is called Rocking Dentistry, and they do treat you like a rock star. That was awesome. During that trip, I went to a party in a place that is one of the oldest social clubs in Monterrey. And as I am walking into the party event, they told me that I couldn't wear my cowboy hat. And I said, what do you mean? He said, no, it's not allowed. And I'm like, I'm wearing jeans, I'm wearing Chuck Taylors, I'm wearing a funky shirt, and I'm wearing my hat. And I said, is it because of the dress code? He said, no, you're fine, it's just the hat. So I had to check in my hat because it was, I don't know why. Maybe just, riffraffs wear hats. I don't know. But oddly enough, when I got to the party, there were people that were extremely drunk, having a lot of fun and doing things that maybe they shouldn't be doing at a party like this. And nobody was saying that was inappropriate, but my hat was. So, Monterrey guys, we can't be holding parties in places where your hat has to be checked in. My hat is part of my persona. So, let's not do that again, okay? Regardless, it was a fun party, I gotta say. So if you want to know more about my travels and my beer drinking habits and so on, please, you can follow me on Instagram at Roland Bond. But most important, please follow, subscribe to our podcast, Bonding and Beer. Instagram is at Bonding and Beer. YouTube, Bonding and Beer. Okay? We have a landing page that you can find in the description of our videos. You can send us a question, bondingandbeer@gmail.com, or through our landing page if you have a beer suggestion. There are so many different ways that you can follow us, subscribe to our podcast, share our podcast. Let's go. Let's do this. Today, we're going to be talking about resin cements, a little bit about their history, their classification. We're going to talk about, different applications and whatnot. But before we get any deeper into subject, I got a little something here. This one is called Hodag beer. We're going to open this guy from Wisconsin. Let's go. All right, so we got the Hodag beer. This one is from, it was purchased at the Hodag store. And I want to read a little bit about this beer and what it means, This one was brewed by a company called Northwoods Brewing Corporation. This is in Wisconsin. This is a Pilsner, straightforward. Wisconsin Pilsner is 5.5%. So, no surprises there. However, I'm going to read the description of this beer directly from the can. The description is right here on the can. And for those of you who are not watching but listening, the can has an illustration of what seems to be a combination of a dragon, a long fang creature with horns, and apparently he's drinking beer. Quite interesting. So here's the description. It says, a beer as legendary as the Hodag, both crafted from the northwoods of Wisconsin. Among the old growth pine forest and crystal clear waters comes this premium Hodag beer, a classic old school Wisconsin Pilsner. Okay? That's a very interesting description, straightforward, nothing fancy, mentioning the Hodag, where it comes from, and whatnot. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Hodag is the Hodag in American folklore, it comes from the Rhinelander area, and the Hodag is a fearsome creature resembling a large bull horned carnivore with a row of thick curved spines down its back. So that description that I just read is basically the image that you can see on the can. Kind of like this will be the equivalent to the chupacabras. You know what I'm saying? So this is the American chupacabras right here. And every culture has their chupacabras or their Hodag. I don't care how you call it. There's always a monster that is trying to get us. You know what I'm saying? Now, what made me choose this beer? This was a gift from somebody that, it has a special place. I haven't known her very long, but she works here at Bisco, and she understands my passion for beer, and she's super nice. So her name is Jennifer Malik. And Jennifer, she just started working in Bisco. We went through training, and I explained to her how much I love beer. And, she was kind enough to go to Wisconsin. On her trip to Wisconsin, she went to the Hodag store, and that's the only place where you can buy this beer. You can't even get this at a liquor store. So she when she saw the beer, she immediately thought of me and said, I got to get Rolando this one. So I appreciate that. So big shout out to Jen Malik. Have I tried this beer before? No, I have not. But I am about to. So let's go. So we're going to open this guy. You know that sound? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a soothing sound. It's the sound that makes you feel warm inside. And you know that something good is about to happen. It's an experience. Having a beer is an experience, at least for me, at least for me. So I'm going to pour it. Of course, I'm going to screw it up. Let's go. I'm pouring it, making sure this pour is basically flawless. And as you can see, for those of you who can see, it's flawless. I am a professional. I've gotten some comments from some of y'all, haters, because there's always haters or people that they think they're funny. They're not funny. Saying that I cannot pour a beer, that I'm an amateur, that I started drinking beer a year ago and now all of a sudden I think I'm an expert. Listen, my guy, I've been doing this for a while. I have years of experience, and I don't need to prove anything to anybody. All I need to do is to pour the beer, drink it, and drink it amongst friends. So let's describe this guy. This guy it's kind of dark for a Pilsner. Dark yellow. Maybe it's because of the light. Let me just hold this cup of it. Yeah, it is kind of dark. I don't want to say hazy, but it's definitely not clear. Definitely not clear. How does it smell? It's got kind of like a little bit of a hint of fruit, but not citrus, but definitely kind of sweet. And, of course, yeasty. It is yeasty. Oh, yeah. Let's see what's what.
Sip, sip, sip.
Listen. If all Pilsners tasted like this, I would be a Pilsner fan. I'm not saying I don't like Pilsners, but it's not my go-to choice. But this one, I don't mind. Actually, this is pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Sip, sip.
Oh, heck yeah. Big shout out to these guys. Jeremy, what's the name of the brewery again? Northwoods from Wisconsin. A big shout out to the Hodag store that sell this, and a big shout out to Jen Malik for bringing it. It is very, very good. Stick around, and I will give an honest review at the end of this episode. Let's go. All right, let's get into the topic. Let's talk about resin cements. Now, resin cements have been out there for a while. And when people say resin cements, and this is something that happens everywhere with a lot of different things in dentistry, and I want to say in life in general, people tend to generalize, okay? It's like things like, all universal bonding agents are the same. No, they're not. They are not. They're not the same. They might be put in the same category as they should to avoid confusion. These are universal bonding agents. They share certain features and benefits and characteristics and clinical applications, but they're not the same. A chocolate cake made in California is not the same as a chocolate cake made in New York, but you can call them both chocolate cake if they fit the general description. So with resin cements, it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Every company has their version of what a light cure cement should be or what a dual cure cement should be. And whatever the case may be, they can be categorized in the resin cement. They can be put in that box. That doesn't mean that they're all the same. So that is something to consider. They're not all the same. Okay. Now, why is it interesting to talk about resin cements? And why are resin cements becoming more popular? Because the more we advance towards a more conservative dentistry, a dentistry that requires less tooth reduction and less traditional prepping, you are going to rely more on bonding. So products like glass ionomers and zinc phosphates and luting agents are going to, little by little, become less relevant, and resin cements that require, bonding, adhesive application are going to become more popular. And this is a transition that we're living right now. When people go like, oh, the future is here, that sounds weird. We're already here, and people are doing more bonding, and people are being more conservative, with their preps, and people are using more resin cements. There's still a big chunk of the dental population all over the world that still, prep teeth in a traditional way. They do a lot of crowns, and they use glass ionomer and zinc phosphate, and that's fine. It's happening, and that's fine. I'm not going to talk against that because it's happening, and it has shown that it works. What I'm trying to say is that with the development of bonding, it is unnecessary to be, that aggressive, okay? And because of bonding, you have different clinical scenarios. You have anywhere from, cementation of crowns, inlays, onlays, fiber posts, cementation of veneers, different applications, different clinical scenarios, different needs, and different resin cements. We're going to talk about all of that, and we are going to have some fun while we do. So let's freaking go. Come on. Hey, by the way, if you see me kind of like, grunt or something, it's unavoidable because I tore my calf muscle playing tennis. I am very good at tennis, extremely good. I am as good as, my tennis is as good as my beer drinking abilities, so that makes me a really good tennis player. But, during a little game, I tore my calf muscle, so now when I move a little bit, it hurts, so I might grunt and, put a little, funky face. It's because of the pain. But I'm hoping that the beer eases the pain. So let's talk about
Sip, sip.
what is a resin cement. A resin cement is a material that is made specifically out of resin. It doesn't have any glass ionomer component. It doesn't have any sort of, how do I say it? It's not a modified product. It is a pure resin cement, okay? And a pure resin cement has different classifications. We're going to go through all of them. But before we get into that, we need to understand a little bit of the history. So when you think about the history of luting agents or cements, you start thinking about polycarboxylate cements. We're talking about zinc phosphate cements. And these products had no bonding to the tooth structure. No bonding. The preparations were made in a way that the preparation itself provided retention. So these cements just served as a material that will fill gaps and it will help maintain the restoration in place. But it was the preparation that provided the retention. Okay? Then you had glass ionomers that provide the same features as like your zinc phosphate, but a little bit of bonding, not a whole lot, but a little bit of bonding through chelation, fluoride release, easier to clean. Okay, so provided a little plus. Then you had resin modified glass ionomer cements, fluoride release. Now, some of them are dual cured, so you can actually cure them a little bit so you can clean the excess easier.
Sip, sip.
Okay? And then, of course, we get to resin cements, which have no glass ionomer. They're not modified at all, and they work with a bonding agent, and they can also work without a bonding agent. So, let's think about that for a moment. The things that require a bonding agent, these cements are considered what will be a term. The term will be traditional resin cements. These are the first types of resin cement that came out. They require the use of a bonding agent. And we also have cements that are called self-adhesive. A product that is extremely popular in the self-adhesive category is a product from 3M called Unicem 2. So Reliax Unicem is a self-adhesive cement. And that is a totally different category. Even though it's a resin cement, it is in the self-adhesive resin cement category. There is a product from Bisco called Theracem, which is extremely popular. It is actually the most sold cement that we currently have in our catalog. So self-adhesive cement have the ability to bond to the tooth structure without the need of a bonding agent. Your traditional resin cement requires the use of a bonding agent, okay? So you have that classification. Then you have the classification by polymerization. Dual cured, self-cured, and light cured. When do you use what and why? Self-cured resin cements are no longer popular. We used to have one called CMB, which stands for Crown and Bridge. But nowadays, I don't recall, like something that will pop, recently a self-cure cement, resin cement. But dual cure, there is a vast array of dual cure cements out there. And the dual cure cements are classified as traditional and self-adhesive. They require a bonding agent or they don't require a bonding agent. And they're usually used for crowns, bridges, inlays, and onlays. Okay? Those are those restorations, they should be tackled or cemented with a dual cure cement. Okay? Now, not all cements are created equal. I already said that. It's not good to generalize. It's like when my wife tells me, all men are the same. Really? Are all men the same? So do I look like Brad Pitt? I'm not saying that he's better looking, but we definitely don't look alike. Okay? I tell her, do I look like Brad Pitt? Do you feel the same way when you look at me and when you look at Brad Pitt? So, you can't say everything, all these products are the same. No, you need to be careful when you choose what you choose and why you choose it. Okay? So, if you're going to do a crown, a dual cure cement is highly recommended. Which one? It all depends on your specific needs. But a dual cure cement is highly recommended. You're going to do an onlay, that has areas that are thick in the restoration, where the light may not go through. okay? And I want to say that it's 1.5 millimeters in thickness. You're going to need a dual cure cement. You're going to cement a fiber post. You're going to need a dual cure cement. Whether it's bonded or whether it's a self-adhesive. Regardless, you're going to need a dual cure cement. Now, you're going to cement a thin restoration. A veneer, for example, less than 1.5 millimeters. Light can go through. Light cure cement will do the trick. For veneers, indicated light cured. Indicated light cured. And I will explain later why. But for veneers, dual cured, not so much. Light cured, for sure. For crowns, light cured, not really. Dual cured. For onlays, dual cured. For post cementation, dual cured. So this is something for you to consider. Are you doing crowns, inlays, onlays? Are you cementing posts? You're going to need a dual cured. Are you also doing veneer? You're going to need a light cured. Okay, so depending on your needs and the procedures that you're doing the most, you're going to select the type of cement that will definitely help you, fulfill your clinical needs. Okay, every clinical procedure requires a specific type of cement, which is not necessarily related to the brand, but related to the polymerization mechanism. Okay, now when it comes to bonding, if you have a short prep, let me go back. If you have a retentive prep, and by retentive, I'm just going to throw some numbers out there, higher than 3.5 millimeters. You have a taper of between 8 and 10 degrees, a traditional prep. If you have that, you really don't need to bond to the tooth with a dental adhesive. You can use a self-adhesive cement because your prep is providing the retention, okay? However, if you have a short prep or a non-retentive prep, like a veneer, you need to bond to the prep. You need to apply a bonding agent. Whatever bonding agent you're using, whatever technique you're using, you need to apply it. And then you can use your resin cement. And I'm not even talking about treating the substrate right now because I already talked about this. I talked about zirconia extensively. You can go back to some, to our episodes that we talk about that. I talked about Emax and so on, how to treat that substrate. Okay, now we're talking about what you do to the tooth based upon the type of preparation, the size of the preparation, the retentiveness of that preparation. You know what I'm saying? So,
Sip, sip, sip.
if you're going to do a thin restoration, like a veneer, light cured, less than 1.5 millimeters. If you're going to do a crown, bridge, post, onlay, inlay, restoration is thick, light may not go through that restoration, you need to use a dual cure cement. Okay? That is, very, very important to understand when to use what and why you need to use that, why you need to have it, as part of your inventory. Different clinical applications require, different materials. And, I was talking about cement once.
Sip, sip.
And I was given this presentation because, every time I talk about cement, it reminds me of a story. This guy, after the presentation was over, he came to me, and he was talking to me. And we were talking about different types of cements and whatnot. And there's another guy who also joined the conversation. The guy had a cigar in his mouth. He had a cigar. And we're talking, and then, of course, after we started talking about cements, and then started talking about family. And the guy goes like, "Oh, I have 9 children." And I'm like, "Whoa, 9 children? That's a lot of children." You know what I'm saying? But that's it. He said, "Well, if that is what you like." And then the guy with the cigar said, "Why do you have so many children? Right? Why do you have so many children?" And the dude said, "I just happen to like children." And then the dude with the cigar took his cigar out of his mouth and he said, "Well, I like my cigar, but I take it out of my mouth every now and then." I mean, let's go. Let's go. That's a great story. That is a great story. Come on. So let's wrap it up. By the way, before I wrap it up, let me remind you once again, you can follow, you can subscribe, you can share, you can like. Instagram at bondingandbeer. YouTube, bondingandbeer. Email, bondingandbeer@gmail.com. We have a landing page. You can find that link on the description of the video on YouTube. Okay? If you have a question, send us an email right through the landing page. Beer recommendation. Even if you want to write about how poorly I pour beer, it is welcome. We love all of you. And it's okay to be a hater. We love haters too. So in order to wrap this up, you need resin cements if you want to have any sort of bond. A self-adhesive resin cement will provide a certain bond that it could be better than glass ionomer. So right there, it's improved bond. But if you need to use a bonding agent, your bond is going to be extremely high. So if you want to achieve bond of some sort, whether it's through a self-adhesive or whether it is through combining an adhesive and a resin cement, you have to use a resin cement in order to achieve that high bond. Different cements, different clinical applications. Like I said, crown, bridge, inlays, onlays, most likely require dual cured. Veneers, thin restorations, less than 1.5 millimeters, they require light cure, okay? I'm going to give you an example. The first time I heard somebody talk about tack cure, it was Dr. David Hornbrook. I never heard that before. Tack cure is when you hit the cement for 2 seconds in order to remove the excess, because you're able to create the cement, it will become kind of like in this gel phase, and it's easier to remove, and then you can finish the cure. I don't know if Dr. Hornbrook invented that, but I give him respect. I show respect. So whenever you see somebody doing something and you start doing it and it makes your life easier, show some, give that person some love. Mention him, because he had worked hard to get to where he was or she was, and then they share that to the world, and it improved your ability to to perform the clinical treatment. Show some respect, show some love. If you're going to post something on the internet, wherever it may be, and you're using a specific technique, it doesn't take much. Thank you, Dr. Hornbrook, for showing me what tack cure is. Now, going to provide you with a couple of road tips. It's road tip time. Let's go. So, if your preparation is retentive, a self-adhesive cement will work. There are many out there. Of course, we got Resin, which is a self-adhesive cement that releases calcium. There is Reliax Unicem that has been around forever. And there are many, many others. Regardless, if there is retention based on the prep, you can use a self-adhesive cement. If your prep is not retentive, like a veneer or a short prep, you got to bond. You got to use a dental bonding agent with whatever technique. Let's say you want to use All Bond Universal in self-etch on that crown prep, and then on top of that, you're going to use a Dual Link Universal, or you're going to use a Dual Cure Cement, Reliax Ultimate, or Variolink DC. You need to bond to the tooth structure. It is very important to bond to the tooth structure. And here's the last one. Not all cements are created equal, okay? Every company has their own formula. And every cement provides general features and benefits and specific features and benefits. Do your research. Talk to your colleagues. Go to continuing education programs. Follow this podcast and learn before making a decision because you read it on social media. Do your proper research in order to be able to purchase a product that is going to help you provide the best standard care to your patients. as possible. Okay, man, we're going to review this guy over here. This is Hodak beer. You know, it's actually making me super happy. It's cooling me off here. I got all these lights, you know. My producer, our producer, he's not my producer, our producer, the podcast producer, the brain behind this podcast, puts 17 different lights on my face.
Sip, 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 sip.
That's what he says. I see 17. And, dude, I break a sweat. Regardless, every time I see the final product, I am truly amazed of what he's capable of doing. So if he needs 17 lights or 5, it's all good. So Hodak beer from Wisconsin. What do I think? Well, it's not. Pilsners are not necessarily my thing. I like bitter beers. Pilsners are not bitter. However, this got a little kick to it. I don't mind it. Actually, I like it. Because if I order a Pilsner and I get Hodak, I'm going to have a Pilsner moment. I'm going to be craving more Pilsners. Only if they taste like Hodak. So I really like this guy. Didn't match the brewery description. They say classic old Wisconsin Pilsner. I don't recall ever having something like that before. I don't know what that means, and I don't have something to compare it to. But I surely hope that old school Wisconsin Pilsner tastes like Hodak. I really do. Because if so, moving to Wisconsin is something that I will definitely consider when it comes down to, you know, things that make me happy. This is a good thing, Wisconsin. This is a good thing. I live in Chicago, not a big fan of the Packers. However, old Wisconsin Pilsner, I'm a fan. So 1 to 5, I'm going to give this a solid 4. Listen, a solid 4. Why? Because if it was one of them weak Pilsners, probably give it 2.2. But this one, this is how good this is. Solid 4. Would I drink it again? 100%. 100%. I got 4, which I share with the Bonding and Beer team. You know, they all have their can they can take home and enjoy, because that's what we do here. We share. You know, we like to share the beer. We like to share the joy. I'm not going to be, you know, like, I'm going to be retentive about the beer. You know, no, we share. So, will I have it again? 100%. So, if I got a chance to go to this place, the Hodak store in Wisconsin, I will definitely get not a 4-pack, probably get like a 12-pack. You know what I'm saying? So, what is the perfect scenario to enjoy this beer?
Sip, 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 sip.
Recording a podcast episode that will be shared by its viewers, and the viewers will recommend their friends to follow Bonding and Beer, so they can also enjoy the episode where I enjoy Hodak beer. That is the perfect scenario. Here we are, Q&A time. Let's go. You can send us your questions via our email, bondingandbeer@gmail.com, but also you can use our landing page, and the landing page link is in the descriptor of the Bonding and Beer video on YouTube. So you can also text us, send us a DM at Bonding and Beer through Instagram. This is from Laureen Milda. Do I need to pre-treat the surfaces of my indirect restorations? 100%. If you're doing zirconia, you're going to have to sandblast it. Make sure it's not contaminated with saliva with the try-in. So you either try it in and then clean it. And then you need to apply your MDP primer. Okay, zirconia, there are episodes that I talk about zirconia and the different approaches to bond to it, depending on the sandblasting, who does it, your cleaners and whatnot. When it comes to Emax, same thing. All feldspathic, same thing. You have to hydrofluoric acid etch it, and then you apply your silane. So you need to do surface treatment. Now, there are cements that have certain primers incorporated to them, such as like Theracem or Panavia. They incorporate MDP, is the functional monomer. So you may not have to use your MDP primer. In the case of Theracem, you definitely don't have to use your MDP-containing primer to bond to zirconia because Theracem will bond without the need of that primer. However, yes, you need to make sure to know what's in your cement and to have your substrate pre-treated prior to the cementation procedure. Here's a question from Chandler K. Do you believe in ghosts? This question, what are we trying to accomplish? Now, I understand that Jeremy, the producer, filters these things, and he will find things that are extremely entertaining for him, not for the audience, but for him, and then put it in here. I am unaware of what's going on until the day of, where I get all the breakdown of the podcast episode on this here computer. Do you believe in ghosts? Here's my answer. If I am willing to drink the Wisconsin Chupacabra beer, I believe in ghosts, my friend. Okay? I do believe in them. Do I see them? No. But I know they're there. I know they are there. And if you don't believe in ghosts, good for you. I go to sleep and I am afraid. So whenever I fall asleep, I don't have to think about the ghost anymore. But as soon as I wake up, they come back into my mind. I don't know why this question is here. I find this very disturbing. You know what I'm saying? Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of Bonding and Beer. Be sure to like, to comment, to subscribe, and to follow. Now, next episode, we're going to be talking about shade shifting. Shade shifting has nothing to do with ghosts. Shade shifting has to do with the ability of a cement to remain its original shade and not become darker over time. And I think that's very important, especially now that everyone wants to do cosmetic dentistry. Thank you for tuning in to Bonding and Beer. My name is Rolando Nunez, and here with the Wisconsin Chupacabras, I'll see you in the next episode. Let's freaking go. You see, we make mistakes in this place. Consider that I haven't used profanity. And that makes your life easier, doesn't it? That. No. Yes. No. That. I need to add some. Don't turn off the camera, Jeremy. Don't turn it off. Leave it on, my guy.